Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Bradda Lithium Limited 2021 AGM proceedings. Throughout these proceedings and presentation, attendees will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged and can be submitted at any time using the Q&A tab situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. Just please simply type in your question and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question it receives during this meeting. However, the company will review all questions submitted today and publish responses where it's appropriate to do so. These will be available via your Investor Meet Company dashboard, and we will notify you when they are ready for your review. I'd also like to remind you that this presentation is being recorded. I'd now like to hand over to Denham Eek, CFO and Company Secretary of Bradda Lithium. Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the annual general meeting of your company. As you note, it is now 3 o'clock. I'm Denham Eek, a director of the company, and I will act as chairman for the purposes of this meeting. The quorum necessary to constitute the annual general meeting of the company is one member holding not less than 2 of the votes of the shares entitled to vote present in person or by proxy, and therefore the required quorum is present. I therefore declare this annual general meeting open. Due to the current COVID-19 pandemic and associated Isle of Man government recommendations on social distancing and the avoidance of public gatherings, this annual general meeting is being conducted as a closed meeting. Accordingly, shareholders have been requested not to attend the meeting in person, and instead all shareholders have been asked to vote by proxy. However, the board would like to welcome those shareholders listening in to this annual general meeting via the electronic platform link. We trust that each of you are keeping safe and well throughout these uncertain times. Shareholders were afforded the opportunity to ask questions prior to the meeting, and the board has dealt with directly with those shareholders. The board will not be tabling any further questions at the meeting. However, having said that, I do understand that questions for those attending on the link will be taken. Since there are no shareholders attending this meeting in person, save for directors, the votes on each resolution today will be conducted on the basis of a poll rather than a show of hands. All proxy votes having been received by 3 o'clock on the 21st of September and recorded as valid by the registrar will be counted in this poll. For the purposes of information, let me tell you that all 6 resolutions tabled all have been voted in favour, and the total votes in favour are 69,131,736. Prior to putting the resolutions to the meeting, I would like to advise the meeting that the proxies received by the company are as I've just told. In my capacity as chairman of the meeting, I'm electing to put the resolutions to a poll in accordance with Article 8 of the company's Article of Association. I'm casting all votes for which I'm appointed proxy in accordance with the proxy instructions that have been duly received and validated in respect of each resolution. The counting and verification of the votes will just take a few seconds, but I shall announce the result as soon as possible. Right. I can now confirm the vote. I'm pleased to advise the company's representative has now completed the poll, and will now proceed to announce the results of the poll, which are as follows. Resolution 1, to receive and adopt the company's annual accounts, 100% in favour. Resolution 2, the appointment of auditors, 100% in favour. Resolution 3, the reappointment of a director, that 100% in favour, and that is the same for Resolution 4. Resolution 5, the director's authority to allot shares, 100% in favour, and Resolution 6, the disapplication of preemption rights, again 100% in favour. On that basis, I hereby declare that the resolutions number 1 to 5 inclusive are carried as ordinary resolutions, and the resolution number 6 is carried as a special resolution by the required majority. There being no further business, that concludes the formal business of the meeting. I would now like to hand you over to Charles Fitzroy, our Chief Executive Officer, who will make a brief presentation on behalf of the company and answer questions. On behalf of my colleagues and myself, I would like to thank you for participating in the formal part of this meeting. Now, over to you, Charlie.
Thank you, Denham. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Charlie Fitzroy. I'm the CEO of Bradda Head, and I've got a presentation which is an update on what's happened since listing and where we plan to go for the next 6 months or so of our operational plans. First thing I'd like to highlight is we obviously had a very successful IPO back in July where we raised £6.2 million. We went out to raise 4. The fact we raised 6 was fantastic. It shows the market in London was the right place to do it and the right time to list Bradda. Since listing, we have changed Bradda's name from Bradda Head to Bradda Head Lithium to more reflect the company's values and the focus. And also, since listing, we now have work underway at all 3 projects, which are our Brine assets in Nevada, Sedimentary assets in Arizona, and our pegmatite assets in Arizona. So that's what really makes Bradda different from a lot of the lithium guys out there, is we have all 3 asset classes within our portfolio, and we're doing work to push them along and to unlock the value within the company. This slide really shows what we've done since listing and also the share price. The shares are up about 45% since we've listed, which is a fantastic result for us. Only 2 months since we've listed is nothing at all. We're very happy with the response of the shares, and even over August we had some good trading. Since listing, we have increased our sedimentary claims by 105% because of our geologist belief in the areas we have. We've commenced drilling on our Burro Creek East asset, and our first assays have come back showing really exciting results, an increasing grade in one of them, and confirmation of lithium mineralization, which I'll go on to later. We've got a geophysical program starting shortly. The guys are on the ground tomorrow doing some reconnaissance work, and they will start with putting the lines out on Monday. We received drilling at our Wiki-Up project, which is very exciting, and we're also permitting for the remainder of the project, the permits. And with our new claims, Burro Creek West, North, and Burro Creek East Extension, we are now pushing forward permitting, and those claims will link up to Burro Creek East to create a large resource, and we can draw them out. Shortly, we're going to be announcing that we've lined up a drilling contractor to start at Wiki-Up, which is due to start next month. And then in our Brine assets also, we are doing some work at our Wilson project to drill there to test the brine geochemistry in the identified basin. And then at Spencer, we are going to do some geophysics and also some drilling to do some shallow sampling of the clay asset there too, because there's potential for a clay and brine resource at Spencer, so very exciting. And I didn't mention just now, we also, our geophysical program, which is starting at Wiki-Up and Burro Creek, is also starting at San Domingo to test our thesis on our pegmatite having a deep surface structure, but I'll go through that in a little bit. So, Bradda, we identify that we want to get, our end goal is to develop our assets into low production cost, low carbon, battery quality, lithium end product producing assets. Where we are now, we've identified what we need, and we know what we need to do to get there. We need to increase our resources at our sedimentary assets and develop our processing capabilities at our sedimentary assets, and also increase knowledge of our pegmatite assets and brine assets. And we are doing that now. We've identified the areas of attack, and we are accelerating the drilling at our sedimentary assets with Burro Creek, and we're starting at Wiki-Up very shortly. We're prioritizing our assets from geophysical programs, which will enable us to do targeted drilling where we see fit, and we're adding team members, especially ones who focus on areas which we really believe as a company is a main priority for us. ESG is a key one. We've appointed Adam Hawkins, which I'll talk about later, and also appointed two technical consultants, Don Haynes and Yatendra Sharma, who I will talk about later. And we are soon going to be announcing that metallurgical processing test work will be shortly underway from our Burro Creek East drill core with an industry leader. And again, we're doing some targeted geophysics at all our sedimentary claims and our pegmatite claims to make sure that we are not doing any unnecessary drilling and conserving as much cash as possible. So all our cash goes in the ground and the resources come from that. So that's where Bradda is on its strategy side of things. The management and board are well known. We've got a very strong team who really understand how to develop exploration assets and grow the company and demonstrate the value. I'm not going to focus too much on this because everyone knows the company and everyone knows the background of who's involved, but I will focus on the new guys we have added to the team, which are Adam Hawkins, Don Haynes, and Yatendra. All these guys are very experienced in their fields, and it's part of the key thing about what we're doing as a company. ESG is first and foremost something which we believe about as a company, and it's core to building out our strategy. Adam is really helping with that. I've got a slide in a second which Adam's helped to put together to help outlay how we're going to approach ESG for our assets and engaging with local communities and local tribes. Don and Yatendra are both very experienced consultants. Yatendra is very experienced in lithium processing, and he's helping us there, and he's been advising on the program with the industry-leading testing facility, which we'll be announcing shortly. And Don is advising on all things from processing to exploration. So we've got a very strong team who are really helping us. And Don already, as we speak, he is on the boards of several other lithium companies at a similar stage to us, advising them. So he really understands what he's doing. He's at the forefront of exploration for lithium. As I mentioned before, Adam's helped us put together our ESG framework, and this slide outlays how we're thinking about things. We are making sure that we are doing everything as efficiently and environmentally as possible. We're engaging with the local communities and the local tribes, and we're making sure that everything is done in a way which is laid out in our framework. And this is very exciting that we can work with Adam to develop this as a company going forwards. Bradda itself is focused on lithium in the US. We are trying to develop our assets in a low carbon way as possible because the US has a supply shortfall. There's a huge amount of demand coming from the US and there's not much supply out there. There's only one current operating asset in the US, which is Albemarle Silver Peak operation, which has been operating since the late 60s. And that is where Bradda is positioned to fill this gap. And this slide shows an overview of the current supply chain and the fact that the US does not have a real battery supply chain. Most lithium is mined in South America or Australia, and that adds carbon intensity to that end product. And that's where Bradda comes in, and our assets are in Arizona and Nevada, near the end users. They're near the gigafactories. They're near the places where we want to be the supply to. And the fact that our assets are not in Australia, because if you look on the chart on the right-hand side with the carbon intensity, the orange circles show where the world's pegmatite assets sit on the carbon intensity graph. They are much higher than they should be because of where they're located and the process they have to get through to get to the end user. We've got a pegmatite asset in Arizona, which could be sent to Texas or to Nevada to be processed. It's a much shorter journey. And then our brine assets, again, are not in South America. They're in Nevada. And our clay assets are in Arizona. So we are developing assets which are going to have a low carbon footprint for the US market. And that's what we're very excited about. A comparable company which we believe we can compare our sedimentary assets to is American Lithium. You can see from this share price chart here, American Lithium announced their maiden resource last year, and they've drilled about 40% of their claims out of 30 kilometers squared. To put that into perspective, at our sedimentary claims, we've only drilled 2% of 47 kilometers squared. So we've got a huge amount of resource proving up to go. Our current grade compares favorably with American Lithium, and we believe this is the trajectory we as a company want to follow, which is why we're doing what we're doing at our projects of doing the geophysics and the targeted drilling. It's very exciting that we hope we can follow such a trajectory as American Lithium. This is where we have been focusing majority of our exploration work since IPO from the drilling point of view. These are our sedimentary claims. As you can see in red, the claims we've added since listing. And we have a drill program underway at Burro Creek East, but we are shortly going to be having it underway at Wickiup. We've got a huge extensive land package over this sedimentary claim block. It's a very supportive mining jurisdiction. Baghdad's Freeport copper mine is just there to the east. You can see it in the right hand side here. We have an inferred resource already, and importantly is that our clay at Burro Creek East has been proven that it can be processed to a lithium grade battery chemical. And also up near Wickiup, we have a neighbor of ours, Hawkstone, in this area here, who also demonstrated they can process their ore to a lithium grade, a battery grade lithium product. So we're very confident in the fact that our Wickiup project is going to be very promising, and the drilling we're doing there will demonstrate the viability of the assets there. It's very exciting. I'm moving on to just the next slide, which is about Wickiup. So Wickiup, we've added just over 16 kilometers squared of new claims added to Wickiup in the northwest, up here, and also the southwest. These are some of the areas we'll be doing our geophysics shortly. We've got permission to drill at our section 12, which is just down here, and then we are we are permitting at the other sections here and here, and we believe we'll get those permits through shortly, and we're going to start drilling there next month. Hawkstone's resource is just in here, as you can see, the little resource, and we are drilling in areas where we've had very good surface samples done, which we believe we're going to find decent grades below the ground. And the fact that the geophysics program is very exciting because it will enable us to plan the future drill programs. And with all this drilling, we expect a resource early next year. So that is very exciting for Wickiup. Burro Creek is, again, we are drilling there now, but this is a really, really exciting place from a geological point of view and from the end product. As you can see, we are drilling just down here at Burro Creek East. We've added these claims to Burro Creek West and Burro Creek North. We are in the process of permitting here at Burro Creek West, and also we are permitting at Burro Creek East and Burro Creek North. Why is that important? Well, all these claims link up. And I'm just going to jump to the next slide quickly. If you look at this zoomed in of Burro Creek East and this block model, so this block model here on the right hand side is this section here in Burro Creek East. As you can see, the upper clay zone thickens going forward. So upper clay thickens that way and that way, going into our Burro Creek East extension and our Burro Creek North and Burro Creek West. So this is very exciting for us because the upper clay zone is the higher grade zone. And the drilling program we've been doing has identified the presence of the lower zone, which we didn't know was there at certain locations, and in some areas has identified there's potential for an increase in grade in the upper zone. So we are looking forward to finishing off the program. The program now will be finished mid-October. We had a slight weather delay with the drilling, and it's very extreme weather in Arizona over the summer. But recovery has been fantastic, upwards of 94%. And once we get our final drill finished, the assays will be back within 4 weeks of that last hole. So we're going to have a resource upgrade in Q4 this year. It's very exciting. And the fact that what we're doing is really strengthening our geological model is exciting for us at Burro Creek East. And I'll just go back to show you what this means for the rest of the deposits. As you can see, we have this huge area here and here, which is where the thickening is happening. So the thickening of the upper clay unit is going that way. So all these claims link up, and that's why we're doing what we're doing at Burro Creek West, North, and East Extension, so we can link up this resource and have a large resource over the area with this thicker clay unit. And the geophysics, which we're doing shortly, will help us to identify areas of thickest clay, so we can do targeted drilling. So that is the reason why we're doing that at Burro Creek. And then San Domingo. San Domingo is, I know I use the word exciting, but it is very exciting. It is our pegmatites where we have over a 9 kilometer strike over this way here. And that's important because our comparable assets, and we believe, are Kathleen Valley and Bald Hill in Australia, which their strike is between 1.2 kilometers to 1.7 kilometers. So we've got a much larger strike than our comparable assets. And as you can see from this map, all these pegmatites are mapped. They've got names. This is important because if you look at the comparables cross sections, that slide's taking a bit of time to load. Apologies.
Charlie, we're currently on slide 17 on the attendee view.
I can't see it, but
okay.
I can talk about it. I remember it. So if you look at the two comparable maps here, you can see the very thin dikes at surface, and then you've got the deeper feeder structure system at depth. On the previous slide, when I highlighted those small pegmatites that have been mapped, that's what we believe we have. We have identified those small outcropping dikes, and we're doing some geophysics shortly to be able to demonstrate that we have this deeper feeder system at depth, which will be phenomenal for the company because that will enable us to show that there's a potential for a open cut mining operation of pegmatites in Arizona there, which would be huge because pegmatite mining is 60% of the world's mining. It's very understood, and the market will appoint the value to us that would deserve, because pegmatite miners get a high valuation compared to clay or brines currently. So that's very exciting, and we're getting going there very shortly. I'm just going to pop back to the previous slide. Yeah, so that's what we're doing with our geophysics there. Again, very exciting. I'm just going to go to 18. Mine's not loading, so it's slide 18. Let me just...
Okay, Charlie, we are currently on slide 18, so that's great.
Okay, give me 2 seconds. Let me just get up my backup. Apologies for this.
No problem, John. Just let me know when you want to change slides, and I will change it to the following slide, so you can crack on with your version. Okay. And I'll turn slides. Yeah.
So also, alongside what we're doing at our pegmatites and our sedimentary assets, we are working at our brine assets. As you can see from this slide, with the two photos in the background, which we went on a recent field trip out there into the States, myself and Ian, Stalker, the chairman. At Spencer, we are doing some geophysics to identify the basin there, and also doing some drilling there to test the clays, because we have some very good clay samples at surface, up to 550 ppm lithium. And then at Wilson, as you can see in the bottom of the screen, there are two basins there, which is the same structure, but it's what we did from our 2016 MT survey, is identified the basin. We've got permits. We are permitting to drill there. We've got permission to. We are permitting to drill 2 holes into the basin at Wilson to identify the brine geochemistry, and then there is also a deeper structure there. And if we identify that the basins are positive at Wilson, we will permit to drill to the deeper structure. So there's a lot to look at Wilson and at Spencer. Is that moved to 19?
Yep, that's correct.
Fantastic, thank you. So on the exploration timeline, as you can see here, we've got a lot going on. We've got our new claims on this now: Burro Creek North, Burro Creek West extension added to it. We're in the process of permitting at Burro Creek West, Burro Creek North, and Burro Creek East extension, which will add to our resource potential there. We're starting geophysics shortly. We're going to be drilling at Wiki Up next month. San Domingo, we are in the process of starting geophysics there shortly, which will enable us to find a targeted drill program. And then Wilson and Spencer, we're in the status of permitting at Wilson, and we're going to be doing geophysics at Spencer early next year, and Wilson we're going to be doing some drilling early next year. So there's a lot going on at all our assets, and it's a very exciting time for the company. And we're looking forward to getting the results back from our Burro Creek East program, and also from Wiki Up when we start drilling there. The company at the moment, we have $7 million in cash. And since IPO, we've had some really good shareholders come on board. Raj Chalwar bought at 3.5%, and the RBC Trust come on for 5%. So this has happened post IPO. So you can see the interest we've had in the market for the story, because we are very unique. We have a low geological risk compared to a lot of companies. We have all three asset types: brines, pegmatites, and sedimentary. We're in Arizona and Nevada, which are the lowest risks places in the world as of the recent Fraser Index. And we're located near the end users and developing low carbon footprint lithium with management who are hugely involved and have skin in the game. And the geological upside from the pegmatites and the brines is massive. So, it's a very great time to be part of the company. And I think that's everything from me. I know that's a bit of a whirlwind, but we've done a lot since IPO, and there's lots more planned. And that's where we find ourselves as a company positioned to demonstrate the value that Bradda has, and we're trying to unlock it.
Charlie, thank you very much indeed for your presentation and for updating investors this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, please do continue to submit your questions using the Q&A tab situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. Just please simply type in your question and press send. But in the meantime, I'd like to remind you that a copy of the slides, along with the recording of the presentation and the published Q&A, can be made available to you via your Investor Meet company dashboard. I'd also like to remind you that following this presentation, the company we will redirect you in order that you can provide feedback, in order that the company can better understand your views and expectations. Charlie, I wondered if I could ask you to open up the Q&A tab on the right-hand side of your screen. We had a pre-submitted question, and we've also had a number of questions that have come in from attendees on today's call. Perhaps I could just ask you to read the questions out and give a response where it's appropriate to do so.
Yes. So I can see a few questions here. The one question asking about when our next news flow item will be released. I can't let you know when it will be released, but we have a lot coming up, a lot of exciting news flow planned for the company from all our assets. So please stay tuned, and we'll be updating when we can. There's another question asking about the comparables between us and American Lithium. I think at the moment, as we speak, American Lithium is about 10 times the value of Bradda. As I've demonstrated earlier, American Lithium has drilled about 40% of its 30 square kilometers of claims, and we only drilled 2% of our 47 square kilometers of our sedimentary claims. And we also have our pegmatites and brines as well. So there's a massive room for Bradda to increase in value. Someone's asking about after our product is mined, where is it going to be processed for going to end user? The US market is expanding its battery manufacturing capabilities. Mega factories are popping up all over the place. I know Tesla are planning to do a spodumene conversion facility in Texas. So that could be an end place for our pegmatite product if we find a good size mine there. There's a lot of areas we could be processed through, but that is something which we are developing as we speak, and that's why we brought on our consultants to help us to develop an efficient and low carbon, low cost processes to be able to produce that end product, which is the end goal for Bradda. I think that's everything I can see currently on the Q&A.
Charlie, I think you have been very kind. I think you've addressed pretty much all the questions that have come through. And of course, if any do come through in the meantime, or when we're wrapping up, I'll make those available to you post this meeting. Charlie, I think obviously with that in mind, and I know that investor feedback is important, we'll shortly redirect investors and attendees on today's call to give you their thoughts and expectations and provide you with their feedback. But perhaps before doing so, Charles, I could just ask you for a few closing comments just to wrap up with.
Yes, no, thank you. Well, Bradda's had a phenomenal year so far. We went out to raise £4 million, and we raised over £6 million. We've increased our claims dramatically. Now we're the largest landholder on the Wickiup Burro Creek Lithium District. We've got all three asset types, and we're poised to be part of the US domestic lithium supply chain, and we're approaching it from a very sustainable and positive ESG standpoint, from where we're engaging with the local communities from the ground up. I think this is a very exciting time for Bradda, where we are, we've drilled such a small proportion of our claims, and we've got a lot to prove up and a lot of value to grow for the company. So it's a very good time to be part of this company moving forward into 2022.
Charles, and to also Denham, thank you very, very much indeed for your time today and for updating investors. Could I please ask the attendees not to close this session, as we'll now automatically redirect you for the opportunity to provide feedback in order that the management team can better understand your views and expectations. This will only take a few moments to complete, and I'm sure will be greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the management team of Bradda Head Lithium Limited, we'd like to thank you very much for attending today's meeting. That now concludes today's session. Good afternoon to you all.